Welcome to Celebrate Torah Fund. I'm Fran Shivitz Hildebrandt, President of Central Great Lakes Region, and with me is Rachel Ferber. Rachel, raise your hand in case somebody doesn't know who you are. Central Great Lakes Region Torah Fund Vice President. A few housekeeping tasks before we begin. All of you have been muted, and we ask that you stay muted so that we're not distracted by other noise. Those individuals who are speaking tonight have the power to unmute themselves, and with the exception of the next few minutes, will be spotlighted when they speak. That's assuming that all of my practice, and I did practice, actually works. And if you don't have your drink for our toast, you can still quick pour it. So you've got a couple minutes. Aha, good. I see some people who are with me on this. Good. Rachel and I would like to welcome you to CGL's very first virtual Region Torah Fund program. We hope it will be the first of many. I also bring greetings from Debbie Kaner-Goldich, President of Women's League for Conservative Judaism. Tonight, we celebrate, congratulate, and toast our sisterhoods who have made goal or who have persevered and created interesting, innovative programs despite all the challenges we've had to overcome this past year. We not only acknowledge and applaud our last year with gratitude to all, but begin a new year, a new opportunity to support Torah Fund. I would like to share a personal story for just a minute. As some of you know, I have a special place in my heart for Torah Fund. Some of you met me originally when I was Region Torah Fund Vice President. I got to know you through emails, phone calls, and sometimes had the good fortune to be invited to attend your programs in person. In those days, the themes we promoted were different, but the underlying message of B'yachad, together, this year's Torah Fund theme, was implicit in everything we tried to accomplish. On a personal basis, some of you know the story of my brother, who is a cantor and recipient of the generosity that Torah Fund provided for our family. His very first book, B'chol Echad, is a staple at many synagogue tables. Many of you also share the same story, so we know on a very personal level the importance of the work that we do. So I congratulate and thank you, each and every one of you, for the time, attention, and energy you devote to Torah Fund. Rachel and I are thrilled to see so many familiar faces in our audience, as well as some that we don't know, and hope to have the opportunity to meet and become acquainted with. We're going to pretend that we're really standing at a podium. And so when we talk, you are the audience, not little screenshots, okay? And while typically we're going to spotlight every speaker, we're not for this one because I would like for you to be able to see different people's faces tonight, right now. We are privileged to have a star-studded audience tonight. So please wave as I call your name. Past presidents: Cindy Martyr, Central Branch, 2000 to 2002. Judy Blumenau, Michigan Branch, 2002 to 2004. Lori Davis, CGLR, 2008 to 2011. And Edna Schrank, CGLR, 2015 to 2018. She was Region Torah Fund Vice President, 2013 to 15, and is currently WLCJ International Torah Fund Planned Gifts Chair, as well as WLCJ Convention Chair for 2023. We also have Pam Schlossberg, Region Membership Support, Kitty Hoffman, Region Membership Services, Carol Marks, Region Conference Chair, and Renee Kaplan, Region Member at Large, who have joined us tonight. and a whole cast of sisterhood presidents, too many for me to name, and I am so thrilled that presidents and Torah Fund chairs, as well as members, are on this call tonight. And of course, a special welcome to Barbara Ezring, WLCJ Torah Fund Chair, wave Barbara, and Lisa Paul, who I hope I have not butchered your last name, who is Torah Fund Executive Director. Rachel, of course, has had the opportunity to begin to get to know you. We're looking forward to hearing you both speak in a few minutes. And we hope you'll always feel welcome to join us at any of our programs and events. Rachel, would you like to take over? And I'm going to try to spotlight you. Okay, so Rachel.
I should be unmuted, yes?
You are unmuted.
Thank you so much. Well, I'd like to thank you all for your support and donations to Torah Fund. And as Fran just introduced our two special guests, Barbara and Lisa, I would like to ask each of them to say a few words. So Barbara, would you go first?
Sure.
Okay, Barbara, let me try and I'm going to try to spotlight you.
Okay. There I am.
Good.
Mazel tov and kol hakavod to each of you. In a very challenging year, you maintained momentum and raised money for the students studying at our 5 conservative Masorti seminaries, and you reached your goals. You are the leaders, the fundraisers of the Torah Fund campaign, and we are grateful to you for all you accomplished and all you will continue to achieve. I have been a donor to Torah Fund for 54 years. While my husband was in rabbinical school, I gave $18 or $36 to the Torah Fund campaign at our synagogue. In 1978, my husband was ordained at JTS. He graduated without debt. That year, I became a benefactor. It was important to me that future rabbinical students also graduate without debt. You and women from every region in Women's League raised $1,433,000 for the 2019-2020 Torah Fund campaign. Here we are at the beginning of the 2020-2021 B'Yachad Torah Fund campaign. Most of us will be attending high holiday services in our own homes via Zoom. The Torah Fund offices are closed. Our pins and printed materials are safely ensconced within the walls of the Jewish Theological Seminary. The students are studying remotely, and they continue to need the scholarships and programs that are provided through the money we raise for Torah Fund. We're going to create fabulous virtual Torah Fund programs, and we're going to work biyachad together to raise as much money as we can. We'll find ways to meet seminary students from around the world. We'll listen to their stories. We'll read their words. We'll be inspired by their motivation to repair the world. So let's join together to provide our students with the financial support they need to prepare themselves to teach us and to inspire us in our congregations and in every environment in which they will be employed. I wish you much success as you begin the new Torah Fund campaign.
Barbara, thank you so much. And I apologize. I had this few sentences I wanted to read as a short bio of you. You actually gave me information I didn't know about you, which I loved hearing. But I want to add that you were the incredible international chairwoman for International Convention back in 2017. I now know what an enormous job that is, having worked on Zoomberg or convention for this last July. but you've also served in several other ways to Women's League, but I can tell that Torah Fund is obviously in your heart and comes very, very naturally to you. For all of us, what's very important about you is you began life here in the western suburbs of Chicago at West Suburban Temple Har Zion, which is not a synagogue I had heard of before, but I hope there are others on the call tonight who have, and it's nice that you obviously know a little bit about our area and you're here to help us, so thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
And now I'd like to introduce Lisa Paul, our new Torah Fund Executive Director. Lisa just joined us. This is her first campaign with us. Her experience at 3 major Jewish organizations has helped drive support of notable institutions and programs in Israel and in Jewish communities worldwide. She has extensive experience in marketing, communications, event planning, media outreach, and as editor of a philanthropic magazine, which I know will be a great asset to Torah Fund and our campaign this year. So Lisa, please give us a few of your thoughts.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. So I have to say, being new to Torah Fund and to the Women's League, it's really a pleasure to be here with you, and Mazel Tov on your terrific achievements. I'm quite awe-stricken by the dedication and commitment that I've seen from all the women involved in Women's League, and particularly in raising money for Torah Fund. I think it's quite admirable the way everyone approaches their Torah Fund responsibilities with such conviction and desire to make a difference, and I think it's just really terrific. So I know this is a special evening to recognize the great work that you've all done over the past year, and I think it's absolutely fabulous. I'm looking forward to this year because I feel in life that with challenges also come opportunities. And I think that under the circumstances of the pandemic, there's a great opportunity to do different kinds of outreach and drive visibility of Torah Fund in different ways to make people want to give and to perhaps enthuse new donors to give. So with that in mind, and with my background in marketing communications, I'm going to try to enhance the different ways that Torah Fund can be profiled so that fundraising will be more fluid and more interesting. That includes getting content from the different seminaries that Torah Fund supports to be able to share profiles of students and programs and all the ways that Torah Fund is making a difference. I'd also like to ramp up e-blasts that are sent out that can be informational and engaging, and also try to drive enthusiasm across the board in different ways. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you, and from my perspective, I can only say thank you for such amazing commitment that you've all shown, and I hope I can rise to your level of accomplishment.
Well, I'm sure you will, and I'm very excited about some of these new opportunities for communicating and for promotional materials. Honestly, they will be a sight for sore eyes. Many of us who've supported Torah Fund for such a long time have really been looking forward to new materials, particularly ones that are dynamic and digital. And it sounds like you are going to be really producing that. And I'm really hoping that that's going to help us reach a new donor base, a younger donor base, some women who are 20 and 30 years younger than many of us, who don't know about Torah Fund, but certainly should be personally involved because it's educating them and their children and is keeping their families really engaged in their Jewish communities. So welcome, and we all look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Before we raise our glasses for the toast that we're all here to make, I'd like to reflect on last year's Torah Fund theme, Chesed. So many of us are wearing our pins, and if you can't see, this is the Chesed pin right there. And Chesed means kindness, or loving kindness is how I always learned it. And things done without thought of reward, actions. And the theme was chosen probably about a year before the campaign started. And thinking back on that now, the women in the Torah Fund cabinet were somewhat clairvoyant in picking that theme, I think. Kindness is truly what our world needed this past year. And I hope that the theme spurred many of us to talk about how to create a kinder world. Personally, I think of chesed, acts of chesed, while enriching the lives of others, they have a boomerang effect, and they enrich the lives of the actor as well. And it always makes us feel really good when that happens. So tonight we're celebrating 15 sisterhoods who met or exceeded their Torah Fund goals. And I'd like to read the names of each of them. Adat Shalom Synagogue, Farmington Hills, Michigan. Anshe Emet, Chicago, Illinois. B'nai Yeshurun Congregation in Pepper Pike, Ohio. Congregation B'nai Moshe, West Bloomfield, Michigan. Congregation Beth Israel, Munster, Indiana. Congregation Beth Judea in Long Grove, Illinois. Congregation Beth Shalom in Oak Park, Michigan. Congregation Beth Shalom in Northbrook, Illinois. Congregation B'nai Tikva, Deerfield, Illinois. Congregation Ohave Shalom in Rockford, Illinois. Congregation Sherry Sedek, Southfield, Michigan. Ezra Habonim, Niles Township Jewish Congregation in Skokie, Illinois. North Suburban Synagogue Bethel in Highland Park, Illinois. The Park Synagogue in Pepper Pike, Ohio, and Tifereth Israel in Columbus, Ohio. Now I'd like everyone to raise a glass if you have one. And my toast is something you've probably heard many, many times. We say it in synagogue when we complete something. Chazak, chazak, v'nit hazek. Be strong, and we will take strength from you. And I'm going to take a sip of my wine. Now we'd like to talk about some of the wonderful events that you all hosted that enabled you to raise your tremendous amounts for Torah Fund this year. And Fran, I think you're going to go first, right?
I am, and I am spotlighting because I tried to get everybody who was lifting their glasses. That was a lovely, lovely toast, Rachel, and so meaningful, special. So there's been a lot of really interesting, wonderful, innovative programming that we've done over the last 5 to 8 years. But this year, there are several programs that we would like to spotlight. So I would like to start with Bethel Zedek and in Indianapolis. And they did a very interesting program that was so interesting. When I had to leave early, I actually went on YouTube, and Amanda, I listened to the whole rest of the program. So that speaks volumes about how innovative it was. I'm wondering if maybe, Amanda, would you like to talk about the program and tell us about it?
Yeah, I'd love to. I've got just like a 3-minute presentation on it, okay? And I'd like to share my screen. Oh, wait. Is it possible to share my screen?
I am going to right now make you a co-host.
Okay.
And now you can.
Our Torah Fund speaker pulled out when we decided to do it by Zoom and do it in June instead of the end of March. So we had to come up with a new program, but I wanted to keep with some things like the same flyer that we always send out. So this is the flyer that I prepared, even though this is a flyer that looks very similar to what we would have handed out at the Torah Fund event. But I prepared it, and that really helped everybody who was talking. And it also helped the synagogue staff who were hosting for us. And it helped me with my first Zoom event to have a real solid outline of what we were doing. And of course, because it was a Torah Fund event, you wanted to highlight all the people who donated. And this was a way to send this out to everyone, to highlight your donors. And I sent it out about a week before, and a couple of people realized that they donated more money. So that was good. So then in order to come up with a program, we had to do this online, of course. And so I put out a few ideas and I said, everybody think of ideas to add. We realized somebody who grew up at our congregation, someone who grew up at our congregation was stuck on a cruise ship during the pandemic. And not only that, he was an entertainer on the cruise ship. So he could play music for us and give an interesting program. And our new rabbi just graduated from Ziegler, so she could talk about Torah Fund and what it meant to her as a student. And then, because it was June, Dr. Schwartz had just been announced as the new JTS chancellor, and so we wanted to highlight that too. So we ended up with this really interesting, varied program that went a little more than an hour. This is the end of the program, but the beginning of the program was our rabbi talking about how much Torah Fund meant to all of them, and it was so heartfelt. And then after that, we had our speaker, who was Aaron, and well, you know, we recognized our Torah Fund donors, and we had an opening prayer, and then we had Aaron speaking, and he was singing songs, and the songs you sing on a cruise ship are actually songs that we all know. So he's going to sing.
Which is popularized by Jackie DeShannon. I'm sure a lot of you already know this song.
I'm just going to do the first few lines.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. That was really
fun because he sang these great songs, and then he told us about his trip on the Zandam, and he put together this wonderful PowerPoint, cruising during a pandemic. And I'm going to play like 15 seconds.
Okay. Cruising during a pandemic. So the three things that we are going to be talking about mainly in this presentation are going to be how things first got out of control, what happened in the months leading up to the crisis on the ship. Then we're going to talk about the actual crisis that I experienced while I was on board. And then we're going to talk about whether or not the other crew finally ever made it home. What happened after I got off the ship.
So that was fun. And then we did a YouTube video of Dr. Schwartz. There were YouTube videos describing her that were lovely. You could find them through JTS. And yeah, there it is. You can see it, right? And so I'm not going to play it. I recommend you go find it, okay? And then after that, we had a closing prayer, so her son and daughter-in-law met at JTS, and I've known her daughter-in-law for 30 years. So they talked a little bit about their experience at JTS. And then we had a closing prayer, and we ended with him singing a song that he used to sing at JCC summer camp. So that was the program. And during the program, I took pictures of people so that I could put together screenshots of everyone, the best screenshots I found, to send them as a thank you and a reminder of the Torah Fund event. Okay, so that was the screenshot. And so what I found that I wasn't necessarily expecting was that our young people who've graduated from our congregations or who've known about our congregations are very happy to donate their time to talk. So when, Aaron happened to be in Indianapolis at the time, but if you have people who love your congregation, who grew up in it, you honor them by asking them to participate in your programs. And especially for musicians, it's nice to have music at your programs. They can either do the program, or I can stop sharing here a second. They can either, they can either join your program, or they can tape something that you can listen to later. So for my last program, which was volunteer appreciation, I had my son play Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, and we taped it because he was going somewhere. And that's how we ended the meeting. And I put the words up on the side so everybody could sing at home. And just, you have a lot of resources within your congregations, and just like we had in ours. And the synagogue taped it, the synagogue hosted, unhosted people, figured all that out. And we had a lovely night. So thank you. And Edna, and we of course invited Edna, because we invited Fran. Sorry, I'm mixing things up. Of course we invited Fran. She'd been to one in person, and she was calling me to see how we were feeling and how we were doing in Indianapolis. So it was nice to have her there. Okay.
And I have to say to you, I loved being on Zoom with all of you, and I'm hoping I have more opportunities. And you said a lot of the things that I would have said, which is about taking advantage of the resources you have in your congregation and in your community, and making the most of them. And you did, and you also did that when I came out to visit as well. You had an author who had written a book, something to do with sinfully dieting. And I was immediately intrigued. And he was also a member of your congregation. So again, it's looking around and not trying to reinvent the wheel, but reinventing a different way of using the wheel. And that's what you did, and it was great. Thank you so much, Amanda. I'm gonna try and go back. Thank you again. I have to say to you, it was really an amazing program. The other thing I would like to bring up is one of the things that they did, and this is the part about reinventing the wheel. We all thought about the pandemic and how terrible it was on the ship, but their young man, Aaron, he was giving it from his perspective of the crew. And the difference between the rooms that the crew who were ill were staying in versus the guests, and all the other kinds of problems that maybe we wouldn't have thought about that the crew had to take care of. It was very insightful and enlightening. And I thank you, Amanda. I'm glad you were on tonight to be able to tell us. So I had none of our other presidents are aware we're going to put them on the spot. And I hope that's okay, because the next program is from Beth Shalom Oak Park. Now, I had a chance to visit all three of the sisterhoods that I'm highlighting their program. And they did a very interesting program, again, using local talent. Phyllis, would you like to talk about it? It is about our I'm looking for your name, and you would think I would be able to easily find it, wouldn't you?
You would think. I'm not sure which program you're referring to, though.
The Michigan Historical Society for Torah Fund. I'll tell a little bit about it. Maybe you'll want to add some things.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to let Phyllis be spotlighted instead of me. Some of you may be aware that Phyllis is my sister. So that's why I made the joke about not being able to find her name, because of course I should have been able to spot it immediately. Anyways, our sisterhood really enjoys having speakers come in on a variety of subjects. And this particular time for our Torah Fund event, we had the Michigan Jewish Historical Society come in and present a program on, on synagogues in Michigan. And we all think about, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the docent who presented the program happened to be Fran. So that added a lot to the program.
I was the local color and the local resource. That's one of the things I do in addition to Women's League, is I'm a docent for the Michigan Jewish Historical Society. And everybody thinks that that the Jews came to Michigan and they all settled in Metro Detroit because we have, the Detroit River. Actually, everybody came to northern Michigan, really up north. And so finding out about what synagogues are still open, the history is always really, really interesting to people. Is there anything you would like to add about the program that stands out for you besides, of course, the wonderful docent?
I think the thing that people enjoyed the most was that while we all know the history of our own synagogues, and we know the histories of some of the local synagogues, we don't know the histories of synagogues in our own state, but that aren't nearby. And everybody there left having learned something new. And that's a very big deal to the women in our congregation. Nobody's saying, nobody danced, but the presentation that was prepared was done so well, with humor, with interesting little tidbits that nobody knew. It was a riveting kind of presentation, and yet we had the local aspect of Fran having been the presenter. And so I think anytime you can, as Amanda said, use local talent and utilize the resources in your own congregation, it's going to be more relatable to your members, and that's what's going to keep them wanting to contribute.
Thank you, Phyllis. Anything else before I unspotlight you?
Are your kids still home, or have they left already?
They're up north, actually, and they come back this weekend, and then they stay a night or two, and they leave, but we have to social distance. So I'll watch from the patio while they're swimming in our pool. On a personal note, my sister emailed me today, and I did not have time to respond to her email, which was, are the kids still here? Anyways, the other point that Phyllis made, and that I would like to also kind of emphasize, is you have to know your audience. And in the case of Beth Shalom Oak Park, the ladies there really love going to museums, having speakers come in, and we have had over the years a lot of very interesting speakers, not just from the congregation, but from the community as well. And I think that's what Phyllis was also talking about. And in a pandemic, the first resource can be your congregation and your sisterhood and your circle of friends, because they may know someone who would be a dynamite speaker. So I'd like to showcase one more sisterhood that both Rachel and I had the opportunity. So Rachel, you may want to jump in on this one as well. And that is, we both attended Beth Judea's Zoom Around the World with Torah Fund. And they traveled to each school that they supported. And I'm going to ask both Andrea and Michelle if they have things they want to say, but if it's all right with you, I would love to just be able to tell them what you did for appetizers. So they started out the program with a beverage of choice from one of the areas that our Torah Fund donations are directed to. On the East Coast in New York, it was seltzer or Dr. Brown's. In Argentina, it was wine or sangria. Germany was beer. Israel was lemonade with mint. And on the West Coast in California was Los Angeles healthy juice. And then from there, they had cooking demonstrations and gave out the recipes. And I don't know how to do this so that both Michelle and Andrea, who is Torah Fund Chair, could speak. So if you tell me which one is going to talk first, I will spotlight you. Or if you want to talk. I'm not hearing from either one of you. Oh, you know what? You're muted. So
I can talk.
All right, but is that Michelle? Oh, or Andrea? Because I can't tell by your voice.
It's Andrea.
Okay.
I'm
Andrea,
okay.
I'm looking for your name so I can spotlight you. Okay. Would you like to tell us some interesting things about either why you chose that project or how you came about to make that decision? Because it was complicated.
Back in April, back in January, we had started doing the planning for our April event, April 19th event, which we had settled on a food demonstration, and we decided to adapt it. And adapting it actually worked out really well. One of the things that we added to it was front door prizes, which was a can of seltzer and popcorn. And we delivered that personally. I had people helping with that personally to our people in our delivery area. We did not go to Michigan. I'm sorry, Fran. We didn't even go to Glencoe. I'm sorry, Rachel. But if you were part of the CBJ community, we were able to deliver that to you. And then pretty much everything else just fell into place. And the two people that we had doing the actual cooking were our kitchen maven, our regular kitchen maven before the pandemic hit. And afterwards, our synagogue offers all members certain Zoom events throughout the week, and cooking demonstrations are usually done by a member who is I don't know, who cooks as a hobby, I believe, only, and he does a wonderful job at them. And so we had him do it, Steve Leimer, and then we had our regular kitchen maven from, when the synagogue is opened. And it is her regular job, and she was doing it through Zoom also. And then the people who actually were our tour guides were our one president volunteered to be a tour guide for part of it, and the other president was coordinating the event on Zoom. And so it was quite a process for everyone involved. And then, let's see, I guess I should mention our other tour guide was Josh Warshevsky, who is Congregation Beth Judea's summer, rabbinic helping out person. And so it all kind of fell into place. Michelle, do you have anything to add?
Michelle, if you do, you can unmute yourself.
No, I'm okay. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. There were quite a few people that came, and it turned out really nicely. I think people had a good time.
We took donations just as if we were going to have it at the synagogue. They would mail in their donations prior to going, and then we could put them on the guest list.
Do you notice the same thread that runs through all these programs? It's about taking ideas that appeal to your sisterhood and then using, again, to use Amanda's term, the local talent. finding people that would be able to help you execute the program. And all three of these programs were really fabulous. Rachel, do you want to check the chat? Or do you want me to see if there are any questions about any of these programs we need to answer?
I have been reading the chat. There aren't specific questions about these programs. There is a mention of a possible program. Karen Weiss from my sisterhood, North Suburban Synagogue Bethel, was asking if anyone has heard about the Word Mavens, Joyce Eisenberg and Ellen Skolnick, who apparently do a program about Yiddish. And I believe Edna and Lori Davis are saying it's wonderful. Is that what, am I right that you two are replying to the question about the Word Mavens? Not sure.
No, the Beth Judea program.
Oh, okay, I apologize. Okay, well, so hopefully if anyone knows about the Word Mavens, we'll get information out to all of you. Fran, can I highlight a couple of programs?
Absolutely, I was hoping you would.
Well, I would like to invite Lori Davis to tell us about the wonderful program that I attended at Congregation Beth Shalom last winter. I'm pretty sure Lori was the chair, and I know you're here tonight, Lori, so will you tell us a few things?
Sure. Am I off mute?
Yes.
Okay.
You're off mute, and I'm making sure you are spotlighted so now everybody sees your Shana Plinum.
This is a little off the cuff here because I didn't know I was being called on.
Nobody did.
Well, I would have told about it if you weren't here, but since you're here, I thought you could really, toot your own horn and go right ahead.
We had a scheduling issue, so we couldn't find a date in the spring to do our Torah Fund event. So December 12th, which was a Wednesday evening, is when we did our Torah Fund tea. And we invited two of our clergy to help be the entertainment. And one was our new assistant rabbi, Rabbi Ferretier. And he spoke of his love for Torah Fund and how it had helped him. And he was, a new graduate and new to the synagogue. And we had Cantor Raquel Gershon, who is a graduate of the Cantorial School, who led us in some songs. And when they both heard about the Creating New Spaces program, their eyes lit up and they started really talking about what a wonderful program that's going to be and how they wish they could participate in it more. And we had a lovely evening of tea and treats. And as a gift to them, our sisterhood gave $18 donations to the Creating New Spaces program in their honor as a little gift. And they were very appreciative and they were thrilled that we had done that for them. It was a fun evening.
It was a fun evening. I was there, and December is a fine time to have a program. So I don't think you should feel, that you need to feel bad that it wasn't a spring program. I actually think winter Torah Fund programs are great opportunities. And while some of your Torah Fund donors may have been away, because they might be snowbirds, the rest of us needed something on a Wednesday night in December to do. And it was lots of fun.
And, fortuitously, it worked out because we didn't have to cancel a spring event.
Exactly. Precisely where I was kind of going with that.
So
thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Now I'd like to bring attention to my sisterhood, and Mary Ellen Bowers is here, and she was Torah Fund chair for my sisterhood for the last couple of years. We worked together, actually, but she did the lion's share of the work. And Mary Ellen, can you tell everyone how unique and unusual Bethel is and how we raise money for Torah Fund?
Sure. And like Lori B. Davis, I'm kind of on the spot here because I didn't know I was going to be speaking until a minute ago. We do things a little differently. In the last 2 years that I have been Torah Fund Chair, we didn't have a specific event, but we raise our money primarily through holding classes, Torah Fund classes via Sisterhood. What does that mean? For years, and when I finish here, Rachel can probably say how long, Sisterhood has been holding these classes taught by our clergy, currently our Senior Rabbi Schwab and Associate Rabbi Friedman. In addition to, many of you may know Rachel Kamen, who hosts the Sisterhood Book Club. We have Dr. Elijah Gejman, who hosts a conversational Hebrew class. And we added a new monthly Torah Fund class this past year, Rosh Chodesh, facilitated by Dr. Betsy Dolgan-Katz and Fran Albert, which is a wonderful blend of history, Torah, and archaeological knowledge. That class was very well met. And we charge $54 per member for one or all of the classes.
So that's a donation to Torah Fund, a
to Torah Fund. When I say we, I'm speaking as a Torah Fund chair. And we have people that follow us year after year, in addition to our annual benefactors and guardian donors. And it's really, it was a labor of love, because to see the ladies attending the class, for the most part it was ladies, there were some men who also contributed. They love the classes, they love contributing to Torah Fund, and they're excited to be part of the next generation of rabbis and educators and school teachers that are coming out of our seminaries.
So to speak to what Mary Ellen was saying about how long this is going on, I actually tried to find the answer to that. I started by asking Rabbi Vernon Kurtz, who is now our Rabbi Emeritus, and he looked at me, and this was years ago, and he said, I don't know, I came here, it was already going on, and I stepped right in and started doing it. And I actually got a history of the synagogue from Sue Saper, some of you will know that name, who is a long standing member of Sisterhood, and I think she's kind of an archivist of Sisterhood information. At any rate, I think those classes have been going on, and I know this for a fact, for over 50 years. The synagogue is the same age as Israel now, but the classes were instituted back by the wife of a rabbi from many decades ago. And they were very interested in supporting Torah Fund, but they really weren't sure how, I think. And she felt education was the most appropriate way, and that women would make donations to Torah Fund to support their own education from the clergy and professional staff of our synagogue. And it's a part of the fabric of our synagogue, isn't it, Mary Ellen?
It is, and actually during this time I had a full-time job, but I attended the daytime rabbi classes because they were wonderful. One spoke on the weekly Parsha, and Rabbi Friedman, a graduate of JTS, by the way, taught a JTS ethics program. So I just kind of clocked myself out of the office on Tuesday mornings.
It's always good to take an ethics class.
Yeah.
I don't get any CLE for it, but that's okay.
Well, thank you so much, Mary Ellen. I'll just add one more thing, which is you were saying about the Torah Fund Book Club. So Rachel Kamen, who is our full-time librarian, I have a feeling it was her idea to add that class to our Torah Fund roster. It was several years ago. She gets over 40 women attending regularly her Torah Fund Book Club, which used to meet after Kiddush on Shabbat. I want to say 6 times a year, 6 or 7. Do you remember?
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. So, now that women are finding more time to read. I think all of us are. There are, you know, all of these Zoom lines. I think those are appropriate opportunities for all kinds of programming. So, but thank you for explaining it all, and it was good to see you.
Same here.
So I don't have any other programs I specifically was going to highlight because of the pandemic and everything this year. I actually did not attend very many. If there's anyone who wants to highlight a program of her sisterhood, maybe you could raise your hand or unmute yourself and Fran and I could recognize you.
I just have a question.
Who's speaking?
Lori B. Davis.
Okay.
Can non-members of the shul belong to your Torah Fund classes?
Absolutely. Anyone who makes a donation to Torah Fund is welcome to attend. That is, I believe, the way we've handled it.
Yes, we have. We actually have women, though, that pay dues to us and belong to another synagogue and make a Torah Fund contribution just because they love how wonderful Rachel Kamen facilitates our classes.
Okay.
But yes.
All right. Well, so these are, you know, these were obviously wonderful programs, and you all did a magnificent job. You know, our region hit 90% of our target, even in, you know, the spring of a pandemic, when I know so many sisterhoods were not able to hold their events, even virtually. They just weren't able to. There were varieties of reasons. Synagogues felt it was not the appropriate thing to do, but you all found a way to contact your donors, to motivate your donors to work hard, whether it was by phoning, emailing, whatever it took. And I just want you to know how much we all appreciate it. And finally, though, I'd like to say a few words about this year's Torah Fund theme, Biyachad, which means together. And I know Barbara already said a few words, but I had some thoughts that I really would like to share with you all. As I just said, the coronavirus disrupted our daily lives and caused us tremendous anxiety, but it also caused our community and spiritual leaders to find new and creative ways to reinvigorate our communities and our synagogues. Our seminaries launched free online adult education classes on digital platforms, showing their commitment to the deep value of learning, even in this crisis. Rabbis and cantors found ways to support us while socially or really physically distancing, showing their genuine compassion and the importance of their soothing pastoral presence at appropriate times. Many of us have attended virtual minyanim and seders, and even virtual funerals and weddings, which, despite being different, have restored our spirits. So I know this year's theme will resonate with all of us throughout the year as we think of new ways to be together virtually, and we await the time when it's safe for us to be together again physically. So I want to thank you all for coming tonight, but I also want to mention that on September 9th, I'm going to be doing a very specific Torah Fund training, which is part of our Region Zoom to the Top event. And you'll be getting all of that information, I believe, in the Wave. Am I right, Fran?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, there's going to be a training for presidents, Torah Fund, membership, and we are going to be discussing Zoom programming. So that's one of the reasons we didn't want to give a list of events, of programs that could be done tonight, because you'll have that opportunity September 9th, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, and we're hoping to keep to the hour and a half. We're going to have a panel. It should really be a really positive, uplifting, informative event. I hope you'll all come. Okay, at this point, I would like, Rachel, are we at a point where we want to make that switch again?
Yes.
Okay. So before we close, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Rachel for all that she does, not just for this program, which was her idea, and I think we can all agree that it's been amazing and wonderful tonight, but also for all that she does. Rachel, and I don't know how to do this, I'm going to try and do this so I can see you as I'm speaking to you. So you're a little square, but really not. Okay. Rachel, our sisterhoods in region would not be as successful at raising funds for Torah Fund as they have been this past year without your effort, your energy, and your enthusiasm. Your love for Torah Fund, your support of sisterhood, region, and Women's League comes through in all that you do and all that you say. And this year in particular was really a team effort. And I think I can say unequivocally that you and the sisterhoods in our region exemplify the best of B'Yachad. I'm struck by what we can do when we care and we try. Together, we've been successful, and together we will be successful. And it will be a joint effort because we're all in this together, but the Torah Fund part, you are a great team leader. So thank you for all that, again, for all that you do. We can have a metaphorical, and on that note, Rachel and I would like to thank all of you for joining us tonight in celebration. Rachel, anything, is this a good time for me to just wish you all a good night?
I think so. You know, hopefully we will see many of you on September 9th. We can then wish you a Shana Tova then. We don't need to do it now because we have these other opportunities. And there is a question. Lori Davis is asking about certificates. Lori, I'm not sure what's going on with certificates this year, but maybe Barbara does have an idea. Barbara? Let's see if I can unmute you.
I can unmute you if you can't.
Hold on, Barbara. There you go.
Okay, she's unmuted.
We're not sending anything out, but we will work on templates so that everyone can, we can send it digitally and then.
Yeah, that's fine.
Then we can print them ourselves. Or if you need help printing, let me know. I have a very good printer and I have some pretty nice bond paper. I'm sure we can work it out.
And let's see how things go during the year. And we don't know what will happen as the year goes on. So, but certainly we can send a template with all the information on each certificate digitally.
Great.
Fred, I do have a question. It's Marty Shackman. When do we expect the pins to come our way? Do we have any idea?
Well, Rachel, Barbara?
Well, this is, I was going to say, this is for Barbara. I can answer a little bit, which is we don't exactly have any idea, I don't think. Do we, Barbara?
The office is closed. We don't have access to them. So as soon as it is safe to go back into the office, the seminary is closed. The students are not going to be there first semester. When it's safe, then for everyone to go back to the building. And
the good news is the pins have been created, and I believe the pins have been received in New York. The issue is that people aren't allowed to be in the office to take the pins and package them to match the order that each Torah Fund chair has put in and mail them to them. So, you know, the logistics are the issue and the people power for getting the logistics done. And as soon as that can happen, we will all be getting our pins. In the meantime, just keep wearing our
The old one. Last year's,
I really
thank you.
like this pin. This happens to be one of my personal favorites.
It is beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
So I have to say to you, much as I will look forward to getting the new pin, I actually like the wearing the old pin for a while more. So there are
Thank
some
you.
silver linings, right?
Indeed.
True.
Well, ladies,
Thank
if
you.
there are no more
I want
questions.
to comment to Lisa. Can I make a comment to Lisa Paul? Okay, so I love the idea of the new content. And if you could think of the new content in like 2-minute videos, 5-minute videos, 10-minute videos, so that we could do like a 2-minute video as part of our Zoom other programming and get people excited about Torah Fund all year if we have lots of short, exciting things. The people in Germany, or this is what's going on in Israel with Torah Fund money, and just very short things as well as longer things that we can pull down or we can access on YouTube as part of our regular Zoom programming. I really am excited about this idea. I think it's going to really be wonderful, and even the congregation could do some Torah Fund programming as part of their Zoom programs. So I'm
I
really
completely agree with you, and I was thinking the same thing, Amanda, that I would like to then go and maybe put my own brief program together, highlighting each of the locations, and then showing any content that then Lisa Paul would be able to submit. I think it would be a terrific program.
There's also the How to Show It newsletter that I'm not sure everybody gets.
I sent you my email so I could get it.
Okay,
Yeah,
a lot of
that's
us have worked very hard
terrific.
on making that a reality. So
We do put it in the wave.
Parts of it.
Rachel makes sure that every time some of us get a copy individually, and you can certainly ask to do that. But the other thing is as soon as it's received, it goes in the wave. But there's a link. Usually, I think the other times Rachel has brought it up, and there's been a link because, and you have to click on it out from the way Barbara and Lisa is our newsletter. So it is available if anybody has not seen it. But and the other thing I'd like to make the point is Women's League has Zoom lines if somebody needed one to be able to publicize it. And I have a Zoom line. A lot of the regions have their own Zoom line that can also be used if you wanted to, let's say, have a program and use any of these clips for Torah Fund or anything else for sisterhood. That's the whole thing. We're in this together. It's not just each one of us by ourselves. We're a community, So I think these ideas are great, and maybe there'll even be someone who is so techie that they would be able to put some of these things together that all of us could use. Amanda, just thought I'd mention it in case you're that person. Some of this we can also talk about at the leadership training. So I certainly hope that all of you will be coming. And by the way, you don't have to be in one of those specific areas. We're really hoping to encourage people to take leadership positions. So maybe you've always wanted to know what Torah Fund is all about, or being president, or how to do things for membership. Here's your chance to sit in, and no one will expect that you are going to become that next person. You might if you choose to, but you don't have to. We'd like you to just be involved. And on that note, I see that there are people who are beginning to sign off. So I am going to thank you again for joining us. And I'm happy, Rachel and I are so happy you could celebrate with us. And we're going to wish you a good night.